Hi everyone. Thanks to Larissa from Storytelling Tea and Tarot, we were introduced to this lovely oracle deck made by a French artist whose name I'm going to try to pronounce now, Celia Melville. It is called, I'm going to try to say this correctly, it is called L'Oracle des Reflets. I initially thought this translates to reflection, oracle of reflections initially. That's what I thought. So I checked it with Google Translate and I enter this. This translates to the reflections of the oracle instead of oracle of reflections. So I double checked by putting the English to French. So I put in the phrase oracle of reflections to see what that will say in French, and oracle of reflections translates to l'oracle des réflexions. So that's quite different from that. So for now I've decided to call this reflections of the oracle until someone who speaks French can correct me. And I quite like that title better than oracle of reflections as well, because reflections of the oracle put the subject matter under reflections, and these are not the oracle, these are the reflections of the oracle. And so what is the oracle? Is the oracle yourself? Is the oracle your subconscious? Is your oracle your higher self? Is your oracle the things that you already have in you but you do not know it? And so I find that really beautiful and quite poetic to not call the deck itself as an oracle, but these are the reflections of the oracle, and it's up to you to decide what your oracles are or what your oracle is. And I thought that was, quite poignant. So I feel encouraged to take this approach also because of what she said in the back of the box here. It says, may these cards, reflection of your soul, guide you to the answers who already sleep in you. So these are reflections of your soul, and the guide is already inside of you. The answer is already in you, but they're asleep. And these cards are there to help awaken them. And I thought that's really, really good. It's very to put the source of the power not in the deck or with the deck itself, but with what's in you. And it very much go in line with my belief about reading decks and my understanding of oracle or oracles. So I find that excellent. So I'm already liking this deck just looking at that. As soon as I found out, the translation of that, I thought, yep, this is my kind of deck, and I know I'm not alone in this. So just quickly, the box, lovely, sturdy, matte, and like the Wild Unknown, it's ribboned like this. It's visually not as smooth, I feel, especially around the edges there, but it isn't a big deal at all. The only downside for me is when you do this, there's no gap for you to open to separate the bottom of the box from the lid, so you have to pull on the ribbon, and the ribbon is very much strained every time because it's not created for that. And it's not an effective way, even though at the moment the only way for me, because then you have to dig that bit out as well, and often I have to use my nail, so that damage, not that it's a big deal, but it's just really tricky. Then it's open. So that's the box. And I'm not going to flip through the cards because Larissa have done so in sequence as well. I've shuffled these. So yeah, so I'm just going to talk as so I'll link her link below. Also I'll link the creator's YouTube channel, which unfortunately is all in French, but there is the creation process of this deck I found quite interesting. Also, she seems to have shown usage of this particular deck with another oracle deck. I haven't seen her use a tarot deck, but I am sure that's part of the scope of use, I'm sure, but it is interesting that she used another oracle deck with this one. So I've never really thought of using two oracle decks before for some reason. I've used two tarot decks, sometimes three together, but I haven't really thought about using an oracle with an oracle. So it's interesting that she, I wish I could understand what she's saying, because it's in French, and she did apologize for her English in one of her emails discussing my shipment, and so I'm assuming her English isn't very fluent. So just want to quickly show you the intriguing parts of this deck for me is these one here, card 34, 35, and 36 and 37 with the moon going like that. It's a bit like, again, I'm sorry, don't throw shoes at me, but that's very much like the Empress and Emperor card in the Wild Unknown, don't you think? But, you know, I'm not going to whinge about that. The moon from up, and you see the moon cycle going like that, and then down you see a sense of, you know, spring, summer, autumn, winter, a renewal, time of pregnancy, the delivery of that pregnancy, and then just standing still with what you have in preparation for the new cycle. I thought that was really cool. And then there is that card number 16, which comes earlier in the deck, of that sense of zooming out. You know, the edge of the forest is the title of this card. I somehow connect those, and that you sort of zoom out of it. It's really nice. This particular card that growing up in Southeast Asia, where I grew up, we don't eat rice in a bowl, but in surrounding regions I have friends who, you know, the term rice bowl is life and death. Your livelihood, your survival, you know, can be summarized in the image of a rice bowl, and you see the yin and yang there. So I haven't quite looked at what the keyword for this card is, but for me it just source of life itself sometimes, or it just pack a punch. I know this deck and I are already going to get along really well. You've seen the man and woman card, very much like Lenormand. Not my favorite art in the deck, but you know, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to keep this. I'm going to make up my mind later. But last but not least, I want to point out to these two cards, which I've seen this in Larissa's video sharing her deck with us, and the first thing in my mind is God. It's called the Spark of Life. And then of course I completely missed this other card until I received my own deck. I saw that, and I saw the Echo. That's number 0, and that's number 44. This deck consists of 57 cards, so that's by no means the last card in the deck. But if you ignore the sequence for a while, that's Spark of Life, and the other one is called Infertility. And again, putting the cultural sort of baggage of the word fertility and infertility for a while there. If you just look at the image, for me this is just so powerful. God for me is very abstract, very, very abstract. It's the source of all things, it's the prime source of all things, the causa prima. And then next to it over here is the absence of God, that's the presence of God. And everything that I can't find the word to describe, heaven and hell, I see as these two sort of presence of God and the absence of God, dark and light, heaven and hell. I don't believe in heaven and hell as a place, as a, you know, it's more of a state, I think. I don't know, I'm just still thinking about this, but I want to share with you these two cards, which I just thought is just absolutely powerful for me. The Spark of Life and Infertility, God, ungod, the presence of God, the absence of God, the presence of love, the absence of love, darkness, light, positive, negative, heaven, hell, yin, yang, whatever, you know, it just, you know, things which is so high in its level of abstraction that we often find it hard to describe them, to talk about them, because no matter what you do or what you say, it would never quite capture the reality or your sense of reality of those things. And I can understand why in the Old Testament or in the Judaic tradition, correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot name God. You know, it's unnamed. You can't say the name, because once you name something, it almost confines it. It almost make it smaller than what it is. Because yeah, so I mean, I could talk, I could blog, I could write, and I could just go on about just these two cards. So I won't do that here, but I just want to share that with you. So I found this deck to be very deep, even though I haven't sit with it for too long. One, because of the presence of these two cards, and second, because of the chosen title of the deck, which is not Oracle of Reflections, if I'm correct in my translation of it, but it is Reflections of the Oracle. And I just thought that's so cool. It is my kind of deck. It is a kind of deck that makes me think. It's beautiful to touch, it's lovely to look at, it's lovely to shovel, but most of all, it made me not only think, but it made me reflect and dig deep into myself. And not only dig deep into myself, but also look out and think about the vastness of everything that surrounds me. So I've only worked with this for a couple of days, but from what I can see so far, I can really highly recommend this deck. Thumbs up for me. Bye.